everybody, check it out. I finally got some beautiful ripe tomatoes going on out here in the garden. Now, I've been snacking on these for about a week and they are delicious, but tonight's forecast is for rain and I don't want all my beautiful ripe tomatoes splitting on the vine, so it's time to get these guys out of the garden and into the jars so I can enjoy them all year long. Whew, what a beauty. Wow, that was a lot more tomatoes than I thought I had out there. This is only about a third of them. Once I started getting in there and rooting around in those bushes, they were all over the place. I've also got about twice as many plum tomatoes out there that I need to can today as well, so I'd better get busy. And canning these things is real easy, but it does take some time. I'm just gonna give them a nice wash right now, and then all I've gotta do is peel them, pack them, and process them, and then I can put them up on the shelf and they'll be good for ages. So while I'm getting my tomatoes ready, I'm gonna go ahead and sterilize my jars. So I just submerge them in water, bring that up to a simmer, and let it simmer for 10 minutes or more, and they'll be nice and sterilized. And I always sterilize, even when I'm using brand new jars like these. Peeling your tomatoes is real easy to do. You're just gonna drop them in some boiling water for 30 to 60 seconds, then take them out and plop them into some cold water, and that'll loosen up those skins and they'll peel right off of there.
A few moments later.
See, that skin's already popping right off of there. Ow! And honestly, sometimes I don't even bother with the cold water over there. I just set them out and let them air dry. But the cold water will make it so you can handle them a little more quickly. Look at that. Just like that. Alright, let's get these things peeled and cored, and I'm probably going to quarter these to get them into the jars easier. Oh, we'll just slough off the peel. And I like to do this over another bowl because I want to save those juices for topping off the jars. We'll just cut her in half. Take out that core. And that half will fit in there. There are other ways to do this. This is what's referred to as raw pack, because these tomatoes, even though I blanched them, they are essentially raw. And I'll just pack them into the jars like this. But there are hot packed tomatoes as well. And those you cook the tomatoes and put them in the jars. You don't have to process those quite as long, but I like this raw pack method because everything is nice and cool and easy to handle. Just slice off any discolored bits you see there. This one can go right into the jar hole. Just want to kind of uncork that little hard nugget right there. Hot jars. Alright, let's get these packed up. I am going to start by putting a few fresh basil leaves into the bottom of each of these. Now, this is totally optional. I've got a lot of basil out in the garden, and my favorite tomatoes that I buy have a few basil leaves in there. Now just start packing these into the jars. And we'll pack them up to the bottom of the threads here, leaving a ½ inch of head space at the top of each jar. Hey, what the heck? Come on. Now let's season these up. And salt is optional, but I like a little bit of salt in there. And you can go up to a teaspoon in these quart jars, but I keep it down at around half a teaspoon because I can always add salt when it comes out of the jar. And this is plain non-iodized salt. And we're going to need a little bit of acid in here to inhibit bacteria growth. And you could put 2 tablespoons of lemon juice in each of these quarts, or you can use some of this citric acid, which is specifically for canning tomatoes. I mean, it says so right there. And this is 1/2 teaspoon per quart jar. And now I've got that tomato juice that I collected while I was peeling and cutting up the tomatoes. And I've got it nice and hot. And you just want to top these jars off to kind of fill up the air space in them. And again, stop it at that bottom thread so you've got a good 1/2 inch of head space on these. And you can also use hot water here if you either don't have any of that tomato liquid or you used it up. Now get yourself a plastic spatula, work it down around there. We're trying to bring any air up to the surface so we don't trap any down in there, so just kind of move them around a little bit. And we lost a little bit of air out of these. So I need to bring that liquid back up again. I'll just top those off with a little bit of water. Now, clean up those threads and the rims of those jars. Make sure we get a good seal on these. Now, I've got sterilized lids. They're still kind of hot. One on every one of those. And we'll go in with the rings and just snug those up. Not super tight. If you really crank down on these, then the air that's inside of there won't be able to escape and you won't get a good vacuum and you will not have preserved your tomatoes. So put them on there snug, but don't crank really tight. Now let's get these out and into the canner. There we go. Carefully get those down into there. It's going to overflow a little. There we go. When it comes up to a boil, get a lid on it. Then bring it down to a low boil and process those quarts for 45 minutes. Now all we got to do is let these cool all the way down, and then we'll check and make sure we got good seals. Well, here they are, all cooled down, and they look great. So now the only thing left to do is to check the seals. So the first thing we'll do is take the rings off. And now we'll push down on those lids, make sure they're all sucked in nice and tight. They don't pop in and out when you push on them. And finally, we'll actually grip those just by the lid. Give them a little lift, maybe a little shake. All good, and now they are ready to put up on the shelf. Always store them with the rings off so you can be sure you don't end up with any false seals. As temperatures fluctuate in your storage area, there can be some expansion and contraction of the jars and the contents in the jar, and sometimes that can pop a lid loose. If you've got that ring seated on there, then this thing can actually reseat itself after having gotten some air in there, and the contents can spoil. Maybe get you a little botulism going on in there, and that is nothing to fool around with. I'm not gonna try these yet because I still have ripe tomatoes to eat coming in straight out of the garden. So I'll save these for the rest of the year, and they're gonna be great in all kinds of recipes. Things are definitely winding down out there though, but with a little luck and some more nice weather, I may be able to get another batch of tomatoes to can, but I'm really hoping my peppers come through. I've got some of the hottest varieties in the world out there, but they're mostly all still green. But regardless, I'm pretty happy with the garden this year. I've stocked the shelves with a lot of great stuff, and it's just about time to turn my efforts to stocking the freezer. I can't wait. So, I hope all your gardens are doing great, and I wish you luck out there this fall. Thanks for watching.